Hello, hello. Welcome to the Five Talents Podcast. I'm your host, Abel Pacheco. I interview the top commercial real estate investors and industry experts so you can learn from their experiences. So if you're an investor, a high W-2 earner, or real estate or tech sales professional that wants to invest in real estate without having to manage properties or leave your day job, then this podcast is for you. Or if you're already investing in real estate, but you're doing it part-time and you want to become a full-time multifamily or full-time commercial real estate investor, this podcast is for you too. You're going to learn a ton. You will learn from real-life multifamily investors and other professionals in the industry. They're going to share their blueprints for success, and I'm super excited that you're here. So I hope you enjoy the show. Hello, hello. This is Abel Pacheco, your host for the Five Talents Podcast. We are super excited again because we have an amazing guest, Mr. Isaac. How do you pronounce your last name correctly? Mathai?
Mathai.
Mathai. Okay, very good. And I'm really excited about the conversation because I met Mr. Isaac on recently this year, like in the last few months. And surprise, surprise, if you haven't heard me yet, I'm all over Clubhouse. I enjoy it. I'm enjoying the conversations and meeting great people. I met Isaac there this year, and just hearing him talk about his journey and what he's doing. I'm super happy to bring you another great conversation with Isaac. So Isaac, thanks for joining.
Yes, thank you for having me, Abel. Appreciate to have you be in this podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for taking the time. And if you don't know Isaac, let me at least give you a couple of bullets, and then I'll turn it over to him for a full introduction. But he founded Whitewater Equity Partners because he wanted to impact others by helping them build a true financial legacy. And ultimately his goal, he wanted to help others generate wealth by investing in real estate because he's got a passion for passive income streams. He's got a passion for creating that. So he's also along the way is helping others, and he's got a tremendous journey. He's a nuclear, what's the formal title? Nuclear medicine technologist, Isaac?
That's correct. That is correct. Nuclear medicine technologist.
Man, so I'm like, I don't meet very many nuclear medicine technologists that have started there, had a number of years there, and now real estate investing. So I'm like, well, I gotta let's record a conversation and get a journey for other people to listen to and learn from and just really hear, because he started as an entrepreneur years ago. However, in the multifamily part of it, he's really started during COVID, and that is a journey for others to hear. Wow, you still have people that are choosing this path during COVID and during this pandemic time. So, anyways, it's gonna be an awesome conversation. Isaac, thank you very much again for joining. Let me turn it over to you. Tell us, a little bit about yourself, who you are, and what you do.
Yes. I've been married for it's gonna be my 10-year anniversary this year, and got two kids, 7 years old, and a 2-year-old son as well. And just kind of like a typical Indian Asian family. Like go to school, get good grades, work hard, go to work, come back home, and have a family. That was ingrained in my head, and that's what I started off with. And I got my degree in nuclear medicine, and basically what that is I was dealing with cancer patients, and I was doing imaging for cancer patients, whether they're going for treatment or before they go to treatment, and going through that whole process of that. And so I was just dealing with patients with that and going to work. And this, I always had a thing for business, but never thought I could ever do one. But it came to a point where I was, going to work and whatnot, but like, man, I'm just going to work and coming back home and not really going anywhere with it. And how can I really truly impact people and have the freedom, right? And so felt like just going to work, coming back home, and not having time to be at home or with family, or just to go, have more than enough money to impact others. And so it's like, hey, I should start a business. And, I was doing on the side, doing some production work and DJ things. And so one of my good family friends of mine, we kind of decided, hey, let's start a wedding and events venue. And man, that was a big jump, because it's like from 0 to 100, basically went to the deep end and kind of really started learning about the big business, about owning a wedding venue. And I quit my job in 2013 to actually get started in that. And
Holy moly.
really was,
Yeah, that was in 2013. Sorry.
yes, that was in 2013 where
Wow.
I quit the job,
Let me
and
pause
I
you
was
here
like,
because this
yeah.
is just amazing. So let me pause you for a minute. Okay, so you are, like you said, typical Asian Indian family, which is go to school, work hard, learn as much as you possibly can, go get this great job. Let me just stop, in that area because, whatever culture you're coming from, whatever background you have, there is a big, I don't know, a obstacle a lot of people have to overcome, first of all, which is, hey, that is a path for a lot of people. And a lot of people, I respect it. I did it for years. W-2 employee, trying to make as much as I possibly can. But what was it like working with or telling your family that you're about to leave, this, and how did that go over?
Well, at first, it's about, like, as a family, as your wife, wife and myself, we're like, hey, I have this idea, what do you think, right? And between I'm mainly the dreamer. I'm mostly the dreamer in my family, and and my wife keeps me grounded. So, and she's the realist, and so I had to, there was, I say it was a a God thing, because she agreed to, hey, I like this idea, let's go for it, right? And
Yeah.
so that was the first part, right? And then telling my family, it took a little bit of time, especially my in-laws. My in-laws were, they're the typical, go to work and come back home type of thing, and it took a little bit of time to kind of convince them a little bit
Yeah.
about the idea. On my side of the family, it wasn't too foreign, because we already had it. My parents had another business that they were doing in the medical field, so it wasn't too bad. But it was just like they were kind of scared a little bit, because, like, it was a good paying job, right? I mean, it wasn't any small job. It was a good paying job that I'm going from that to zero, essentially.
Yeah.
So it took a little bit of time to get them convinced, but it was
Yeah.
fine.
So and thank you very much for
Yeah.
sharing. And you were making good money. I'm sure you're, as a nuclear medicine technologist, helping, like you said, in the medical field, which is a worthwhile cause for sure. Sure, you're making some good coin, and that's kind of hard to walk away from a little bit.
Yes, it was definitely a little bit, a challenge, but it's looking forward, right? When you're having an idea and you said, like, it's going to be a long game that you're going to go for, right? So it's not what you can make right now, but it's what you can make later on. So that's kind of,
Yeah.
I had to change my mentality to that, right? So
Yeah, that is this is the one part where a lot of people get confused, I think, when they're talking to me, because when they ask me about finances specifically, I go, well, man, I see you buying these buildings and apartment complexes and real estate. Man, you must be like, some people, oh, you're balling out of control. Or are you making so much cash? I'm like, well, actually, no. What you just said epitomizes kind of the situation. It's you give up what you can make or have down the road, and you give up, today's kind of check, right? And I probably had more cash in hand in the past than I do today. But the net worth and the equity is kind of what we're all playing for this long game, as far as the investing side. That's my personal
yes,
journey. I don't know where yours is at.
yes. Yeah, I mean, it's I think it's kind of the same as well. People think entrepreneurship, you make, ooh, this all this kind of money, but when you're first building a business and going out and you're scrapping, you're not really making nothing at all. You're investing right back into the business,
Yeah.
and going from there. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm at right now, just still
Yeah.
strapping it out.
catch us in another 5 or 10 years, and the situation's
Yeah.
different. You have a lot of exits
Yeah.
going on, and that part's the fun part. But building it and getting things rolling takes a little bit of effort, time, energy, your resources, your capital is getting invested back into the business, and that's kind of how I've experienced it, and a lot of other new entrepreneurs as well. So, okay, so this is pretty cool, Isaac. Even though you moved to an entrepreneur standpoint, you left the W-2, there are a lot of lessons, I'm sure, that your family, the people around you have taught you on that path that still you apply today.
Oh
And I'm
yeah.
imagining. So before we kind of move to this real estate and entrepreneur journey, could you give us some of those nuggets of the things that you think you learned through that journey, school, W-2, profession, that you still apply today?
Yeah, definitely. It's the discipline of doing certain things that you had to do over and over again. It is also to make it work. It is being, able to look at it, look at a problem, an issue that's happening, and not freak out, and try to figure out ways to solve it, right? And think outside the box, and and to be calm under pressure, right? And I think that's a big thing, because as an entrepreneur, you're always under pressure one way or another, and trying to be calm and pivot your way through the situations to figure it out. I think that's a big thing as well. And I think for my family, and I to this day, I mean, I'm a spiritual guy. I love God, and so for me, prayer is a big thing. I could say, starting the entrepreneurship journey, I prayed more in my life than ever before. So, 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 yeah. So I think that this having a stronger relationship with God, that definitely has helped me quite a bit. So
That is awesome. You're in good company, my friend. That is awesome that we say it, laugh about it, but there's some struggles, there's some ups and downs, and prayer definitely comes in handy. And I'm a Christ follower as well, so it's easy for me to relate. For those that are not, reach out to me or Isaac. I bet you we'd love to have a conversation just on that topic alone, which is it helps to have that faith in something, for us, God. And that keeps us grounded, because these emotions are high, especially when you're in our multifamily commercial real estate investing. We're doing syndications, and we're pulling a lot of capital together. It's people's money, raising capital, millions of dollars. We're making offers. We're trying to figure out due diligence. We're making sure we got the right budgets. We're looking at spreadsheets and the physical building. And these emotions are high. Like, am I offering too much, too little? Is it going to win me the deal? Not overpay? All these things kind of wrap in together. And it definitely helps from prayer. I'll mention a couple other things that you wrote, that you said, which I agree 100%. The discipline to say, this is the goal, this is what I'm going to get after, this is how I'm going to go do it, and then your stick-to-itiveness, if that's a word, just to keep going, right? Thinking outside the box. You have to get a little creative every once in a while to figure out how to make something work. And being calm under pressure are all great lessons. So appreciate it very much. Yeah
man. Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's good, all of it. So thank you very much, Isaac, and sharing that insight. Right now, moving forward, so you finally got to this position. I'm going to quit my job and go be an entrepreneur. You mentioned wedding venue. This is the entrepreneur leap that you took. Tell us about that business in general.
Yeah. Well, I kind of went in, to the deep end, just head first, just went in, and kind of, just learning about the business. I kind of knew it just because I did some DJ work and production work at some events and stuff like that before, but truly knowing it, I didn't know too much until I really got into it. And And when I say I really went deep in, I just didn't go buy a building and did that. I actually developed. We created, got land, and
Wow, you really
we're the
did
first
deep
development.
in.
We
Yeah.
were, we were the first development in this area, and so dealing with the city and getting all that done and getting it all entitled and all that, and going through that whole process. And I had a particular type of build I wanted to do. And so to get that passed through all the different committees in the city and all that took some challenge and whatnot. But yeah, so I I really went to the deep end and really built it from the ground up. But I think it's going to pay out. So I was, even through that, I was still thinking in the long term,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it will pay out itself. So
Yeah.
it'll pay off. So
What
it was
year
good.
was that, Isaac?
I started the whole negotiations for the looking at property and all that. I mean, that started in 2013.
Yeah.
But and so, halfway through 2013, it started getting a lot more meetings. And so that's where I quit the job. And so I can kind of just go to these committee meetings, go to the city, talk to them, have those, conversations and get everything started getting entitled
The
and
land
figuring out.
entitlement is crazy, right?
Yes, yes, it is. It's really crazy, and
MEP and P&Z meetings and meeting with the
all that.
architecture and trying to figure out the utilities and all the everything.
Yes, so that I really learned quite a bit, like just going in deep and just learning that on the fly.
Was that your
Uh,
first real estate, quote unquote, deal or real estate investment? Maybe besides
yes,
your house
yes,
that you lived in?
yes, exactly. This is my first one.
What prompted you to say, I'm not going to go buy a building or even rent or even buy a building, but I'm going to go develop a building? What was that?
I mean, the particular style that I was looking for and what I knew I couldn't just buy a building and cover it up the way I would want it to be, like, and just, tear the facade of it and do it.
Yeah.
Uh, and I wanted a particular location, and I was looking for this idea of a location. And that itself was a story itself, because I was about to put an offer on a private property in the city that we are in right now. But an inclination between my business partner and I were like, hey, let's just go talk to the city. And first, I don't want to buy this property and then we're stuck with it because the city doesn't want us to do that there.
Yeah.
Right. And so we went and talked to the city. And then the city, after the conversation, they really loved the idea and the concept. And they said, well, actually, we have some city property around the corner. Why don't you go take a look at it? And we, after the meeting, we went and took a look at it, like, dude, this is what we were looking for the whole time. I went through like literally a stack of like properties,
Listings.
like I
Yeah.
was looking over and over, like looking at, and couldn't find anything. And this is exactly what we were looking for. I mean, it's not listed anywhere because it's city property, right? So from there, and it took us about almost 8 months to a year to figure out, we had to get it, plotted. We had to get it all, appraised and know the value and all that. I mean, so that whole process took a while, and we actually were ground leasing the property for the, and so getting the ground lease put together, now dealing with construction and the lawyers from the bank for the construction loan, and all of that, estoppel, and all these different things to kind of make sure the ground lease is kosher with everybody, right, between the city and the construction loan and all that. So it took a little bit of time to get that going, but we pushed through to make it happen. But
How long did it take
yeah,
you to build that? Or maybe from the city land discussion to you're hosting your first event, how long was that?
that whole process, if you want to say, that started in spring of 2013. And our first wedding was October 15th, 2016.
So like 3 years. Woo!
Yes.
Woo! That is some discipline and stick to itiveness if I have ever heard it. Well, that's awesome, man. So and then you're an entrepreneur is one, but you're also developer, landowner, real estate investor at the same at the same time and through the same process. And that's pretty awesome, man. So tell us about, your run through the next few years.
Well, then from there, after we, it was a challenging process of going through construction, like, like any other project out there. Got through that, and now it was like, okay, now we got to run the business. And so started, doing that. I was doing everything between sales, from cleaning the place after the event to doing the sales, to marketing, to networking, and doing that. And I think, where the brand is today, dude, I was going to all these networking meetings left and right before there was a concrete on the ground. I was going to all these different things, and a little bit, I was like about a year into networking. I felt like I was just that one guy just going like, yeah, I'm going to build this venue, and like people would think I'm crazy, like, when are you going to build this venue, right? So
yeah,
it took a little bit of time to do that, but I think that has helped to this point. If I look back today, that has really helped because everybody knows who I am, knows the venue, knows what we stand for, knows the brand. So it took a little bit of time, but it just happens.
Yeah, in that process, like you said, people may have thought you were a little bit like, well, is this guy serious? Is this guy real? 1 year goes by, 1.5 years you're developing this property. Oh yeah, you're that guy. And you got to kind of overcome that feeling because you're actually doing it. It just takes a little bit longer. And then this, our, I don't know if it's our generation or our, time or whatever you think, but that microwave generation, right? For us, or for me, sometimes I think about like, I want something now. Like, I don't want to wait for this thing to kind of pop out. I'm doing all this work. I'm doing all this effort and energy. I'm taking the time. I want a result. I want an outcome now. And it's hard sometimes to be patient, but in doing so, you develop that perseverance, the push through, stick to itiveness. I said, you keep going, man. And the end run, you've built an amazing spot. You've created value. You started with land. You put the value in to entitle it. You put the value in to go through all the cycles. And now there's an inherent value of your property. That's your sweat equity that you've literally created. And there's, probably very good equity in the deal. And also it was the business that you built on. So it's pretty awesome, man.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And from there, it was just like actually, building a team, putting a team together and going through and finding the right people to bring in. Right. And that's always the challenge of an entrepreneur when you're trying to finding the right team that can come in and be there. And it took me about a couple of years to really find the right person. Right. And that was a little bit of a struggle, but I've found the right person to be there to help me manage the place and take part of the responsibilities off my plate. And Brett, came into my life regarding the business, and she is managing the whole thing now. She's the main person and taking a lot out of my plate, and she manages well, and she has expectations that are much higher than, that are really high and meets my expectations. So it's hard to find that person. And I'm blessed, lucky, whatever you want to call it, to find that person, after a couple of years, and she's doing really well with it. So
yeah,
I can't complain.
I'm a subscriber to luck is the definition of luck is where preparation and opportunity meet. And that's the kind of subscriber I am. So if you're prepared, if you're working hard, if you do all that stuff and you put yourself out there, like you're saying, you're networking, you're talking with everyone, and you're going through all these cycles, then the opportunity comes because you've been prepared. And, you all come together and they're like, thank you, Lord, that's good luck. Right. So,
yes.
well, on this, let's pivot a little bit. Right. So you have your development and you've kind of gotten this business to a spot. Your team is the word that I heard, which I think is super valuable for commercial real estate in general. And then in multifamily syndication, even more so, because we need to pull a team together to kind of I'm not in a position, I don't know if you are, to buy a building on your own, but I'm not. So I have to partner with others to accomplish it. So it's such a big part of the teamwork. Hello, hello. You're listening to the 5 Talents Podcast. I'm your host, Abel Pacheco. If you're enjoying this podcast, then I know you're serious about achieving financial freedom. Are you ready to create your own path through multifamily investing for yourself and your family? Then I know you're going to appreciate our Investor's Guide to Multifamily Investing. It's titled Tackling Commercial Real Estate the Easy Way. We use this guide to invest ourselves in $93 million worth of real estate. So we're going to show you the basic mechanics of multifamily syndications and how to evaluate your next passive investment opportunity. So the best part, if you subscribe to our podcast now, leave us a review and a rating. I'm going to give you a free copy of our ebook. So please take a moment to do that now. Once you've done that, go to 5tcre.com/ebook, 5tcre.com/ebook. Make sure to let us know you left a review and we're going to send you a free copy. So thank you so much for subscribing to the 5 Talents Podcast. We really appreciate it. So talk to us a little bit about like team, like how do you find the right team members and how have you done it now in this multifamily syndication spot?
You know, what I've learned in my own business is, I had to learn that on the fly a little because like I went through to find the person that I have today. It took me 7 people to get to that person. Right. So, for me, it was asking the right questions to get to that person, and you had to ask like upfront. Don't beat around the bush and just kind of go with it, and stick to your standards. Right? If you compromise, then you're compromising your business as a whole. And so, and
I definitely like to hear these right questions.
I mean, questions have to be like, seriously, what, because at least in my business, it's a very high strung, it is go, 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 go. There is no sleep for the weary because you have sales in the back end, but then you have actual events that you had to do, right? So I put them through the ringer, and it's kind of like, who can be a self-motivator, who can be, who doesn't need that much, who has high standards, at least meet your standards or go even higher, right? I think those are the biggest things, the self-motivator for sure, and who truly loves the business, right? And so I think in the beginning, when I was going through my, other employees, I put them in, but then I kept on compromising on like, oh, they messed up here and this and that. Let me give them another chance. I'm going to give another chance. And ultimately that messed me up. I had to like go back and fix all these mistakes from whatever, but that's me making the decision to kind of gloss over those type of mistakes and not correct the issue right then and there. And so, so I, became more firm with who I am, and not just like as an entrepreneur, like I need to find somebody, and get caught up in that because you may not be the best at certain things. Like I need to delegate that, really need to get that done, but you don't. You're just quickly trying to just fill the spot and not really truly. You're compromising on your expectations, right? So that was a really big thing that I really learned, and finding the right person who can fit your culture that you're wanting to create, right, in your business. And so I think that those are the main things that I took away from it, is like not compromising on my expectations, who can truly safeguard your culture that you want to build in your business.
Yeah. Okay, that's excellent insight. Thank you very much. The standards, finding the right people in advance, taking seven goes before you find the right one. I mean, that's part of it. It's a journey. You don't just wait until you have, that seventh person. You have to operate, you have to do business and kind of work through it, fumble around. And then, okay, you realize I am being too lax in this area. I have to hold my standards higher. And then you have a better partner, a better teammate, and they kind of help you scale. Right. So now you're freed up to do some other things and enter in multifamily freaking real estate, huh?
Yes. I mean that it kind of started with, the whole, when I got into the entrepreneurship, the mindset and changing my mindset quite a bit, that helped. I started doing that route, and some of my, I can say, relationships or friendships I've had in that time, I had to like cut them out because they weren't going the way I wanted to go. Right. So mindset, going through that route. And then I started hearing about real estate and real estate investing and buying buildings and apartments and this and that. And that really, really intrigued me. Right.
Yeah.
And so, and for a while I was just kind of passively learning stuff and just kind of just biding my time a little bit. And then because I didn't really know how to get into the space at that point, right? Mm-hmm. And then I really took the courage in 2018 to step out there and say, hey, which events could I go to? Which Facebook groups can I be a part of? And that's kind of how I started in business.
Well, you're no stranger to networking. So that's one. You've already continued to apply that. You invested passively. You're in roughly how many doors?
I'm in 344 doors passively.
Yeah. And so how big were those deals? How many millions of dollars was each one?
Each one, you can say they were in like 20 to 25 million together. Yeah. So
it's 25 million bucks together, or you're saying 25 total, right?
Yeah, total. Yeah.
Which is just this is one of those moments where I think as a single family investor, I didn't know how this happened, right? So I go $25 million worth of real estate and 300 doors. It took me 10 years to buy 8 houses as a single family guy. I go, I can't do that. But actually it was, fairly simple process, correct?
Yes, it was. It was a fairly simple process, through networking and meeting people and that's how, you get access and opportunity to these type of deals, right? So
way easier than you're developing your single wedding events deal, huh?
Definitely less stressful for sure. Don't have to do too much. Just a couple of meetings of going to networking and meeting people and talking to people. I'll do that all day instead of have to do that.
It is really for those that are listening. If you're a passive investor and you've been listening to this, interview, it's like, wow, there's all this time, effort, and energy, dedication, perseverance, everything that Isaac just mentioned to become an entrepreneur. What we're trying to do in the multifamily syndication world, if we're active, we're general partners, we are essentially muscling through everything you kind of heard on that front end to go find a deal, to go fund it, to go finance it, to operate it, to execute it. And then we try to make it as simple as possible for somebody to come in and number one, meet us, shake our hands. We agree, mission, vision, alignment of goals, those types of things. But once that's set, you're like, hey, I want to invest, in a deal. We all pull our capital together and we try to make it a pretty white glove approach so that somebody like Isaac, like you just said, is, oh, I networked and I put some money in a deal and now I'm invested in $25 million worth of real estate. And it happens pretty effortlessly compared to developing a building. Right. So anyways, this is the beauty of what we're doing. So you decided not only to continue down that route. You're a passive investor. You've invested in it. You love it. Sounds like you wanted to go become a little bit more active. Again, let's take the harder path, which is on that side. But your path now, you're an analyst, you look at deals, you underwrite opportunities, and that's kind of your starting point. Is that right?
Yeah, essentially, yeah. And then I wanted to get more education and wanted to do that. And so I was looking for the right education, looking for an operator, not just a guru, because there's a lot of gurus out there, but finding a true operator who was vertically integrated. So, and that was key for me because I wanted somebody who really knows operations and knows the ins and outs, who's in the trenches every day to do so. And so I found one, and James Kandasamy was my mentor,
Yeah, we've
and
had him on our podcast. He's really good.
yes, he's a really smart guy, really nice guy, and really helpful, and teaches us the nuances. Right, I really wanted to know the nuances. I can go and spend the money and learn the brief overview of different things, but really learning the nuances so that when I actually get a deal, I can truly operate it efficiently, right? And I think in this market, what we're learning, or at least I'm seeing from the outside in, is that operations is key. If you don't know how to truly operate efficiently, you can lose. You can lose a lot, and you can see people that are hurting out there because they're not truly efficient in their operations. So I'm glad that who I have and as a mentor, and it's really helped me quite a bit. And so I'm grateful for that. And so I started that journey with that. And in the meantime, I'm still doing networking and still doing stuff. And when I first started, I put it out there on Facebook. Hey, I'm new to this space. I want to learn. I want to know. And the first person who I got a meeting with was Ronnie Phillip, and connected there, and it was a good friendship. We started there, and he started teaching me like all the different parts of the business and learning, and really got me exposed to and I really felt like, even though he's younger than me, guy is doing big things already. And
Ronnie's
so
he's doing big things, man. I like Ronnie a lot.
And so I'm younger in terms of like experience in the multifamily space compared to him. And it's like, for me, I was willing to learn, right? So I was having the willingness to learn, even though he was younger than me, willing to learn from him, to hear his journey and see what he knows and be a part of that. And we kept that relationship. Even because of that, I invested one of my deals is invested with him in his deal in San Antonio.
Yeah.
And so relationship is key in this business, right? And it is a major factor in how deals are getting done, and between either active side or even on the passive side. So and so from there, we kind of just continued to build our relationship, and kept in touch. And in 2020 is where we decided we're going to work together. And so yeah.
Hey man, congratulations. Relationship, and then being a student of the business, student of that. You also had to, if I could say, humble yourself a little bit when you're saying, well, this guy's younger than me, right? But really, in truth, you can be a student of really anybody that you meet, anybody in your walk of life. You could always learn something from someone, regardless of age, status, wealth, whatever the case is. And if we seek those things out, you're gonna have better relationships with people, because if you take that approach, everyone's probably more of an expert than I am at some topic. And if I can be a student there, you're going to create a great relationship with someone. If you create a great relationship with somebody that has some knowledge in the space that you want to be in, and then it's like, oh man, this is a great friendship, a good partnership, and I'm trying to work together, and somebody's teaching you how to do something. And then obviously your hustle, hard work, and dedication. So when we were talking before kind of the interview, I asked Isaac, how many deals do you think you've underwritten? Because that's what you're doing right now, right? Is looking at deals, Excel, putting them through the ringer. How many deals have you underwritten roughly?
I would say, if you want to say from January of last year, I've over 100. for sure.
Yeah, I love it.
I've lost count, you know,
Yeah.
where I'm at, and because now it's just a matter of just doing the work. I know I'm close, but I'm doing the work, and I've lost kind of where how many I've done to this point, but I've just continued to plug away and do the underwriting and
Yeah.
learn, and I've learned a lot just by doing that.
Yeah.
The different nuances, learned operations. It's funny, if you really look at it, it's not just numbers. You are truly modeling your operations, how you're going to be and truly going to be, and how effective can you be, right, in that little sub market of where that deal is and whatnot. And so I really have learned a lot just by underwriting.
Yeah, and if you've never underwritten a deal, it's basically or what is underwriting for maybe those investors that are just checking this out for the first time. It is a analysis of the property of its operations. You're looking at net operating income at the top minus your expenses. It brings you your net operating income, and then you, as an investor, we're trying to factor in. We're using leverage pretty much, which we buy. Apartment buildings we buy with banks money, so we've got to pay them back, and we factor in the debt and how that operates. And then we've got, typically we're taking investors capital to put in the equity, and we're investors alongside, but that equity now has to have a return after this operational analysis, what just Isaac just mentioned. And we're trying to figure out what's our return and what's the assumptions we're making for the future. So it's a pretty complex set of tabs in an Excel, not just one, 100 line items down, but maybe 100 line items on page one or tab one, and then tab two, and then tab three, and there's many multiple. Anyways, as we're doing that, it can be daunting the first time. It gets a little easier the second time, the third time, the 10th time, the 100th time. And I'm sure it's going to even be easier the 500th time and 1,000th time. And as we continue down our process or our path to buying our next building, Isaac, you mentioned those lessons in the beginning: discipline, thinking outside of the box, and being calm under pressure. I mean, all the way through, it's, to the rest of your career, I'm sure lessons apply even now. And this is awesome. So, that's your path today, huh? Looking for the next acquisition.
Yes, that's my path today, and looking for the next acquisition, and just being consistent, and I think being consistent with it, especially during this time, there's a lot. You could easily get FOMO, right? Like, dude, everybody else is getting a building or acquisition, but I have to continue to remind myself the best acquisition is the one that you didn't buy, right? Because it didn't pencil out the way you wanted to, right? And so it's still the same way, not compromising your standards or your expectations, where you're trying to be and where you think your investors would be, right? So in this situation, we're in this market, I am looking at other alternatives as far as like equity, because everybody's looking for better equity to make these deals happen and stuff like that. So we're in the process of doing that and learning and making that happen. And so doors are opening. I see that happening. So, which is great, because it's just being consistent and having those relationships. And so I know it's going to pay out pretty soon. So I'm excited because I have that inner feeling that it's coming soon. And so when it does, it'll be great. So.
Yeah, I love it. And now I have a feeling you're in that same kind of mode where you're telling people, I'm going to buy an apartment complex, and I'm just like you were, I'm developing our venue. So yes, brother, some people will look at you a little cross, like, hey, haven't you been at that for a year or so? But just keep going through it, man. You'll get one, and then one will turn into two, and two into three, and et cetera, et cetera. So congratulations on the decision, and keep up the amazing work, my friend.
Yes, man.
Go ahead.
Yes, I was just agreeing with you. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, before we go, let me make sure, if somebody wants to get into your world, network with you, break bread, shake hands, whatever. And I think we're getting close to that. I've gotten my first vaccine shot. I'm officially a vaxxer. So let's see how that goes. And I'm waiting for my second one. But anyways, it's getting a little closer towards back to normal, maybe shaking hands and breaking bread more often. But where can people reach out to you, and who do you want to reach out to you, Isaac?
Well, yeah, I think anyone can reach out to me at my website is whitewaterequity.com, or you can email me at Isaac@whitewaterequity.com. Everything is there, my contact info on my website. And anybody who is looking to get into the business, I'm always I feel like nobody really showed me how to do entrepreneurship. I just kind of went deep dived into it, and I had to learn on the way. So for me, I love talking about business or creating ideas. I love talking about real estate, and if somebody's trying to get into the business and learning, I'm always there to kind of at least to share some type of knowledge, whether it's practical for you too much or a little bit of it is. I mean, whatever I can bring value, I'm there to kind of share that knowledge and share that with others, and and see how we can work together.
All right. Sounds awesome. Well, Isaac, is there anything else that I didn't ask today? Anything you were hoping that we covered and I didn't? Anything you want to share? Just last words. Happy to take some time here.
Yeah. Just I think the opportunity, what this is providing me is ability to be flexible, even on the family side, on the family front side, and able to do that. And I think this, at least for me, my goal of the whole thing is, yes, I want to make money. Yes, I want to, create that freedom and wealthy and be that. But I think the over and reaching goal for me is to have the ability to impact others, and who are less fortunate or who are in need. So my goal is not, yes, I know the side byproduct of all of this is, yes, I'll have money and I can have this and I can have all the different toys if I wanted to and what have you. But the main thing is so that I can impact others. And the goal is to be a blessing to others, right? Be a channel of blessing. So I think that's my main goal. Like, yes, I'm buying these buildings not just for me, but to impact others around me. And that's what I like about the business too, right? You're buying these communities to improve their well-being in that community, right? And in turn, you're helping your investors, their communities get better because they're investing in this type of asset, right? And in turn, then you're getting money at the end or what have you to impact others too as well. So overall, this is such a great, business to be in because we're impacting everybody that's connected in it, right? So which is awesome. So,
the community, the investors, the people that call our buildings homes, everyone from the property managers, the asset manager, construction, the rehab, the people, working on the actual building, the lawyers, the syndication, the title, everyone. There's so many jobs that are impacted people, and then the literal community that we're investing in so much more. So that's awesome. Isaac, thank you very much for sharing. I appreciate your time, and thank you for giving us just a few minutes on the 5 Talents podcast. So I appreciate it. And I'm your host, Abel Pacheco. Isaac, thank you very much for joining.
Thank you. I appreciate it too, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And so please subscribe to the podcast, leave us a written review, a rating. They very much help. And we hope to see you on our next show. Thanks a lot. Thank you for listening to this episode of the 5 Talents podcast with your host, myself, Abel Pacheco. Each week, we're going to bring you interviews from industry experts and commercial real estate investors who follow their dreams and achieve massive success. Before you leave, let me ask you a few questions. Did you enjoy this episode? Did you learn something valuable? Was your mind stretched to what's possible and what you can achieve? Do you want other experts just like the one you heard today? If you answered yes to any or all of those questions, then please take a moment to subscribe to the 5 Talents podcast, give us a 5-star rating, and most importantly, leave us a written review. Tell us what you liked, tell us your favorite guest, give us any feedback. I'm excited to learn and improve so you can get a more valuable show. So thank you again for subscribing to the 5 Talents podcast.